The gathering stormed the emergency beacon from Serenity Prime, cut through hyperspace like a knife through silence. Commander Sarah Chen stood motionless in the command center of the UES Prometheus, her dark eyes fixed on the incoming transmission. The static-filled message was brief, desperate, and final. Serenity Prime to any human vessel. We're under attack. Civilian evacuation impossible. They're targeting the shelters... Tell Earth we tried to. The transmission ended in a burst of white noise that seemed to echo through the ship's corridors. Chen's knuckles turned white as she gripped the command console. 12,000 colonists, farmers, teachers, children, engineers, building a new life on the rim worlds, gone. Ma'am, Lieutenant Torres approached cautiously. Long-range sensors confirmed total destruction of the colony. No survivors detected. Chen nodded slowly, her voice steady despite the fury building in her chest. Who did this? The Kethva Syndicate. Ma'am, they're claiming territorial enforcement. Said humans had no right to settle in their space. The Kethva Syndicate. Chen knew them well. A loose confederation of pirate clans and mercenary groups that had terrorized the outer systems for decades. They were brutal, efficient, and until now, smart enough to avoid direct confrontation with major powers. Territorial enforcement, Chen repeated, her voice carrying a dangerous edge. On a world we've been terraforming for 8 years. A world they've never set foot on. The bridge crew exchanged glances. Everyone knew about Commander Chun's reputation. She had fought in the Void War, survived the Titan Rebellion, and earned her position through blood and sacrifice. When she spoke in that particular tone, smart people listened. Set course for the Galactic Assembly Station, Chen ordered, and send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we have a situation. 3 days later, the emergency session of the Galactic Assembly convened in the massive circular chamber that had seen countless debates over the past century. Representatives from 47 species gathered to discuss what most considered a minor incident on the galaxy's edge. Chen stood at the human delegation's podium, her uniform crisp and her bearing military. Around her alien representatives whispered among themselves in dozens of languages. The Kethba delegation, led by War Chief Vextar, lounged in their seats with obvious amusement. Honored delegates, Chen began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. 3 days ago, the Kethva Syndicate launched an unprovoked attack on the human colony of Serenity Prime. 12,000 civilians were killed in what can only be described as a massacre. War Chief Vextar rose from his seat, his reptilian features twisted in a cruel smile. The Syndicate acted within our rights. That system belongs to us by ancient claim. The humans were trespassers. Ancient claim. Chun's voice remained controlled. Your people have never established a permanent presence in that system. Our efforts found nothing but dead rocks and cosmic dust. The Zilani representative, Ambassador Krill, waved a dismissive tentacle. Commander Chen, while we sympathize with your loss, the Outer Rim territories have always been contested space. Perhaps humanity should focus on consolidating existing holdings rather than expanding into dangerous regions. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The major powers had always viewed human expansion with suspicion. Earth's rapid colonization of the rim worlds threatened the delicate balance of power that had kept the galaxy stable for generations. Dangerous regions, Chen repeated, her voice growing colder. Dangerous because pirates and murderers are allowed to operate with impunity while civilized species look the other way. War Chief Vextar laughed, a harsh sound that grated on human ears. Your people are weak, Commander. You build farms where you should build fortresses. You send families where you should send armies. The galaxy respects strength, not sentiment. Chen stared at the Kethva leader for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was so quiet that the chamber's systems amplified it automatically. You're right about one thing, War Chief. The galaxy does respect strength. She paused, letting her words sink in. You're about to learn what human strength looks like. The chamber erupted in nervous chatter. The Brizik delegate, a floating jellyfish-like being, pulsed with agitation. Commander, surely you don't mean to suggest military action? The Assembly exists to prevent such conflicts through diplomatic means. The Assembly, Chen replied, had the chance to prevent this conflict when we requested security guarantees for our Rimworld colonies 3 years ago. The request was tabled indefinitely. She activated her personal communicator. Captain Rodriguez, give them the numbers. The voice of Captain Elena Rodriguez filled the chamber from the communication array. Dragonfleet is moving to full deployment. 24 dreadnoughts, 72 cruisers, 144 destroyers. Admiral Thompson's Iron Wolves are joining the operation. Admiral Park's Ghost Squadron is moving into position. The numbers sent a chill through the Assembly. Most delegates had assumed humanity's military capacity was limited to system defense and minor patrol actions. The fleet composition Chan's aide had just described represented a significant portion of human naval power. That's nearly a third of your space fleet, Ambassador Krill stammered. Not nearly, Chen corrected. It is exactly 1/3 of our space fleet. The other 2/3 are being repositioned to defend our remaining colonies and core worlds. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We're also activating the Dragon Cores. The chamber fell silent. Even species that had minimal contact with humanity knew about the Dragon Cores. They were the veterans of humanity's bloodiest conflicts, the survivors of impossible battles, the ones who emerged from hell with their humanity intact but their mercy burned away. War Chief Vextar's confident expression faltered slightly. The Dragon Cores, those are myths. Stories to frighten children. Captain Rodriguez Chun continued, tell the War Chief about the dragons. The 1st Dragon Regiment is being reactivated. Full deployment. All volunteers. All veterans. Captain Marcus Rivera, commanding. They're the soldiers who held Firebase Omega against 10,000 Void Hunters for 6 months without resupply. They're the ones who broke the Titan Rebellion at the Battle of Broken Chains. Chen stepped closer to the Kethva delegation. They're the ones who earned their reputation, fighting things that would make your worst nightmares seem like pleasant dreams, War Chief. The Syndicate leader's scaled skin had paled noticeably. The Kethva Syndicate has faced human military forces before. Your people are not invincible. You've faced human patrol squadrons and colonial defense forces, Chen replied. You've never faced the dragons. No one has, and lived to tell about it. Ambassador Krill made a desperate attempt at mediation, Commander. Surely there are diplomatic solutions available. The Assembly could mediate negotiations. Perhaps reparations could be arranged. The time for diplomacy ended when children started dying, Chen said flatly. The Syndicate made their choice when they targeted civilian shelters. Now they get to live with the consequences. The holographic display activated, showing fleet movements throughout human space. Unlike the typical defensive formations most species expected, the human ships moved in hunting patterns, spreading out across multiple systems in a coordinated sweep. The Dragon Fleet has one mission, Chen continued. Find every syndicate base, every pirate haven, every ship that participated in the Serenity Prime massacre. Destroy them all. War Chief Vexter rose to his full imposing height. The syndicate has allies, other species who profit from our ... business arrangements. We will not stand alone. Then bring them, Chen said simply. Bring every ship you have. Bring every ally stupid enough to stand with child killers. She turned to address the entire assembly. But understand this, we're not coming for territory. We're not coming for resources. We're coming for justice. The display shifted to show the Dragon Fleet's projected path through Syndicate space. The attack pattern was methodical, efficient, and utterly ruthless. It spoke of professional military planning backed by overwhelming force. The Syndicate has 48 hours to surrender the individuals responsible for ordering the attack on Serenity Prime, Chen announced. They also have 48 hours to provide intelligence on any other species or organizations that supported the operation, and if they refuse, Ambassador Krill asked, though the answer was obvious. Chen's smile returned, cold and predatory. Then they'll discover why humans don't make good prey. Captain Rodriguez's voice filled the chamber again. Commander, we're receiving reports from across the Outer Rim. Word of the Dragon deployment has spread. 7 pirate fleets have already abandoned their bases and fled to neutral space. The Syndicate is mobilizing their entire fleet near the Crimson Nebula. Chen nodded grimly. Then they've made their choice. She turned back to the assembly. The Council should know the Dragon Fleet will observe all laws of warfare. We will not target civilian populations or non-combatants, but anyone who stands with the Syndicate, anyone who aids them, anyone who provides them sanctuary, will be considered a legitimate military target. The implications were clear. The humans weren't just seeking revenge for Serenity Prime. They were sending a message to the entire galaxy about the consequences of targeting human civilians. As the assembly dissolved into chaos, Chen remained at her podium, watching the alien delegates scatter like leaves in a storm. The Kethva war chief lingered for a moment, his reptilian eyes meeting hers across the chamber. This won't end the way you think, human, he hissed. The Syndicate has survived worse than you can imagine. Chen's expression didn't change. War. Chief, you've never faced anything like what's coming for you. The dragons are flying, and they're coming for justice. The holographic display showed the Dragon Fleet accelerating toward the Outer Rim, their ships gleaming like steel predators. In the void, behind them, the legends marched, veterans of 100 battles, survivors of impossible odds, the ones who had earned their reputation in blood and fire. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when sleeping dragons were awakened. When Dragon's Flythe Kethva, forward outpost at Razor's Edge, had been considered impregnable, built into an asteroid field that made conventional navigation impossible, defended by overlapping energy shields and enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. It had served as the Syndicate's primary staging ground for raids into human space. It took the Dragon Fleet exactly 17 minutes to reduce it to scrap metal and floating debris. Captain Marcus Ghost Rivera stood on the bridge of the UES Reaper, watching the destruction through the view. His scarred face showed no emotion as the last of the Syndicate defenders died in the vacuum of space. Behind him, his bridge crew worked with professional efficiency, coordinating the fleet's movements with practiced ease. Ghost, this is Wraith. Leader, came the voice of Squadron Commander Lisa Park over the COM system. All targets neutralized. No survivors. Copy, Wraith Leader. Form up for the next jump. Rivera's voice carried the weight of years of combat experience. Demon Squadron, report. Demon Leader here. We've identified the next target. Syndicate Supply Depot at Blackwater Station. Intelligence suggests they're holding human prisoners from previous raids. Rivera's expression hardened. The Dragon Corps had a simple rule when it came to captured humans. Everyone comes home, dead or alive. No exceptions. All units, prepare for jump to Blackwater Station. This is a rescue operation. I want those prisoners alive. The Dragon Fleet moved through hyperspace like a pack of hunting wolves. 24 dreadnoughts, each one a kilometer-long instrument of destruction. 72 cruisers, fast and deadly. 144 destroyers, built for speed and precision strikes. And at the heart of it all, the transport ships carrying the Dragon Corps, humanity's most elite soldiers. The Syndicate had expected a conventional military response. They had prepared for fleet engagements, orbital bombardments, the kind of warfare that had characterized galactic conflicts for centuries. They were not prepared for what the Dragons brought to the fight. The assault on Blackwater Station began with a single ship dropping out of hyperspace. The UES Phantom, a stealth destroyer, appeared just long enough to deploy its cargo before vanishing back into the void. The cargo was a full company of Dragon Corps soldiers in assault pods, launched directly at the station's docking bays. War Chief Vexstar stood in the command center of his flagship, the Crimson Talon, watching the tactical display with growing unease. The human fleet had appeared at the edge of his territory like a storm front, systematically destroying every Syndicate outpost in its path. But this attack was different. Instead of overwhelming firepower, they were using precision strikes and boarding actions. War Chief, his intelligence officer, reported, "The humans have breached Blackwater Station. They're not trying to destroy it. They're taking it apart, piece by piece." Vexstar's reptilian features twisted with rage. How many of them? Estimates suggest a single company. Maybe 200 soldiers. 200. Vexstar's voice rose to a roar. Blackwater has 3,000 defenders. How are 200 humans overwhelming our forces? The answer came in the form of combat footage from the station's security cameras. The Dragon Corps soldiers moved through the corridors like phantoms, their advanced armor making them nearly invisible to conventional sensors. They didn't fight like conventional military units. They fought like predators, striking from the shadows and disappearing before the defenders could respond. Captain Rivera led the assault personally, his team of veteran soldiers moving with the precision that came from years of fighting together. They had stormed the beaches of Titan Prime, held the line at Firebase Omega, and broken the back of the Void Hunter invasion. A pirate station was just another day at the office. Dragon 6, this is Ghost. Rivera spoke into his comm unit as he placed a breaching charge on a bulkhead door. Prisoners located in Section C, 17 humans, all alive. Medical teams standing by. Copy, Ghost. Demon Squadron reports they've secured the armory. Intelligence cache located in the command center. The Syndicate defenders fought with the desperation of cornered animals, but it wasn't enough. The Dragons had faced worse odds against more dangerous enemies. These pirates were just another obstacle to overcome. Within 6 hours, Blackwater Station was under human control. The rescued prisoners were evacuated to medical ships, while intelligence teams combed through the station's databanks. What they found sent shockwaves through the Dragon Fleet command structure. Ghost, you need to see this. Major Sarah Kim, the fleet's intelligence officer, called Rivera to the station's communication center. The syndicate didn't act alone. They had backing. Rivera studied the data streams flowing across the monitors. Financial records, communication logs, supply manifests. The picture that emerged was damning. The Zelani Consortium, Rivera read, from the screen. The Brizik Trade Federation. Even the hegemony provided weapons and intelligence. His voice was deadly quiet. They all knew about Serenity Prime. They all helped plan it. The implications were staggering. The attack on the human colony hadn't been a random act of piracy. It had been a coordinated effort by multiple species to drive humanity back from the rim worlds. The syndicate had been nothing more than a convenient tool. Ghost, this is Dragon Command. Commander Chen's voice crackled through the communication. System, we've received similar intelligence from other captured facilities. The conspiracy goes deeper than we thought. Rivera's scarred face showed no emotion, but his eyes burned with cold fire. Orders, ma'am. The mission parameters have changed. We're not just hunting pirates anymore. We're hunting everyone who had a hand in murdering our people. The Dragon fleet regrouped at the edge of Syndicate space, their ships forming a massive battle formation that stretched across several light minutes. War Chief Vexstar had assembled every ship under his command, calling in favors and debts from across the galaxy. The Syndicate fleet was impressive. Over 200 vessels of various sizes, from massive dreadnoughts to nimble fighters. It wasn't nearly enough. The battle at the Crimson Nebula would be remembered as the moment when the galaxy truly understood what humanity was capable of. The Syndicate fleet charged forward in a classic hammer formation, expecting to overwhelm the smaller human force through sheer numbers. They never reached effective weapons range. Asterisk. The Dragon fleet fought with a precision that bordered on the supernatural. Each ship knew its role. Each captain understood their mission. They moved like dancers in a deadly ballet, their formations flowing and shifting to maximize their advantages. While minimizing their exposure, the Syndicate lost 30 ships in the first 10 minutes of combat. The humans lost none. War Chief, the tactical officer aboard the Crimson Talon, reported, "They're not fighting like any military force we've encountered. Their formations are too precise, their coordination too perfect." Vexstar watched in horror as another group of his ships exploded under the focused fire of human cruisers. They're just humans. How are they doing this? The answer lay in the Dragon Corps' training and experience. These weren't conscripts or militia. They were professional soldiers who had fought together for years, who trusted each other absolutely, who had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. They knew their ships, their weapons, and their enemies better than any force in the galaxy. Captain Rivera's voice cut through the chaos of battle. "All Dragon units, this is Ghost. We're going to finish this. Boarding teams, prepare for assault." The final phase of the battle began with a maneuver that would be studied in military academies for generations. The human fleet suddenly broke formation, their ships scattering like leaves in a windstorm. For a moment, it seemed like they were retreating. Then the Syndicate fleet realized the truth. They were surrounded. The Dragon Corps had used their smaller, faster ships to envelop the enemy formation, while the dreadnoughts kept them distracted. Now, human soldiers were boarding Syndicate vessels from every direction, their assault pods punching through shields and armor like bullets through paper. War Chief Vexstar's command ship shuddered as Dragon Corps soldiers fought their way through. The corridors, his elite guard, the best warriors the Syndicate could produce, fell before the advancing humans like wheat before a scythe. The command center doors exploded inward, and Captain Rivera stepped through the smoke and debris. His armor was scorched and battle damaged, but his eyes were clear and focused. Behind him, his team of dragons spread out to secure the bridge. War Chief Vextar Rivera said, his voice carrying clearly through the sudden silence, "You're under arrest for crimes against humanity." Vextar laughed, a bitter sound filled with defeat. "You think this ends anything, human? The Syndicate was just a tool. The real powers behind Serenity Prime will find other ways to strike at your people." "I know," Rivera replied. "That's why we're not stopping here." The aftermath of the battle of Crimson Nebula sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The HFY Syndicate, a force that had terrorized the Outer Rim for decades, had been completely destroyed in a single engagement. More importantly, the intelligence gathered from captured Syndicate facilities revealed the full extent of the conspiracy against humanity. The Zilani Consortium found their trade routes disrupted by pirates, who seemed to know exactly where their most valuable shipments would be. The Brizic Trade Federation discovered that their communication networks had been compromised, their secrets laid bare for all to see. The hegemony's military installations began experiencing technical difficulties that left them vulnerable to the very raiders they had once supported. Commander Chen stood before the Galactic Assembly once more, but this time the chamber was noticeably emptier. Several species had chosen not to attend, claiming scheduling conflicts and prior commitments. Those who remained watched her with a mixture of fear and respect. "The Dragon Fleet has completed its mission," Chen announced. "The HFY Syndicate has been eliminated, their bases destroyed, their ships captured or destroyed, their leadership either dead or in custody awaiting trial for war crimes." The chamber was silent. Even the usually vocal Ambassador Krill remained quiet, his tentacles curled in a gesture of submission. However, Chen continued, "Our investigation has revealed that the Syndicate did not act alone. Several members of this very assembly provided support, intelligence, and resources for the attack on Serenity Prime." The accusation hung in the air like a death sentence. Representatives from the named species shifted uncomfortably, knowing that their complicity had been exposed. "The human government has decided to take a more active role in galactic affairs," Chen announced. "We will be establishing permanent naval bases throughout the Rim territories. We will be expanding our fleet to ensure the security of our colonies and our allies." "And who," asked a brave delegate from the Corvan Republic, "determines who your allies are?" Chun's smile was cold but not unkind. "That's simple. Our allies are the species that don't attack our civilians. Our enemies are the ones who do." She paused, letting her words sink in. Choose carefully. The dragon had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the depths of space, the Dragon Fleet continued its patrol, a constant reminder that humanity's reach was long and their memory longer. The lesson of Serenity Prime had been learned, written in fire and blood across the stars: touch human innocence and face the consequences. The dragons were flying, and they would not be denied their justice. The age of human expansion had begun, and with it, a new chapter in galactic history. The Rim worlds would be protected, human colonies would flourish, and those who threatened them would learn what it meant to awaken sleeping dragons. In the end, the galaxy had learned a simple truth. Humanity might be willing to forgive, but they would never forget. And when pushed too far, they would show no mercy to those who showed none to them. The dragons had taken flight, and the universe would remember their roar for generations to come.